Hello, and welcome to FBL Broadcasting, part of the Canadian Corporation. Time to talk show, and you got me, FBL Smiler here, just keeping you entertained, as they say. Oh, sometimes when you look at stuff and you go, all right, is everything working? Is everything doing okay? Have I educated myself the right way? Which brings us on to what's going on today, or what I want to talk about. So let me just clear my screen, as they say over here, move that around because you don't need to see that. And then I'll bring something up on the screen in a minute. But while we're waiting, so don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow, and not to forget to do all those other things on all the other channels, which Instagram, Twitter. We're no longer on Facebook because we're not allowed on there for some bizarre unknown reason that they won't give us a reason for, basically, no matter what I try, what I do, and what I say. And that's an interesting thing. If you're not free to talk, is it actually a free society? Which is what's happening. It's happening out there. So it brings me on to education a bit, because I've had chats with lots of people, and it's quite interesting how we constantly complain about stuff, but not willing to be counted, basically. And sitting in front of you today on this wonderful broadcast, which is also on fblstreamslive.com, in case we get censored, which does happen on YouTube. I have been censored before. It was quite interesting, the last show I did. Again, did miss a week. Things are getting a bit hectic, so I moved at 8 o'clock, by the way. So it's 8 o'clock from now. I'm going to go with that because there's a lot going on. I'm doing training with somebody, actually my son, really, to be honest. He's helping me out now on the business, helping me out on the channel, helping me out on quite a lot of things, because it's become a bit too hectic. And that also brings us to another reason why we rely on education. We rely on education so that our children are taught. Even our adults, adults go back to college, uni, and school, so to speak. I find it quite interesting that we sit in a world where people are going for job interviews and they have the experience, but they're being asked, have they got, I'm old. I know I'm old. So I'm going to say GCSE. Do you remember what that is? To the old people out there, thumbs up. Yeah, you remember. Give us a little like in the comments as well, if you don't mind, or whatever. Give us a like and put something in the comments like, yeah, remember those days. And also don't forget, you can communicate with me via comments, but I want to see you on the show. So let's just copy something into the chat, which you can then click on. Now, obviously, if you're watching this on fblstreamslive.com, you need to go onto YouTube to do it. And also, I think you need to be signed in to YouTube to be able to click on this and come backstage and join me in the studio. Now, again, you might be watching this on the replay. So just because you've watched this episode, don't think we won't go back to it, because that's what I kind of want to do. I'm putting a few videos out there. I know the pickup's going to be slow, for instance. So I'm probably going to be talking to myself, which I'm kind of used to be fair. Yeah. You will go, yeah, you rattle on too much, like I always do. But there's always a madness in it, isn't there? There's always a cool kind of bit. So I want to know what you think about education. Let me know, do you think the education system's really good? Do you have children? Are they privately educated? Are they in the state system? Or are you homeschooling? Now, there's a massive change to homeschooling. Since the pandemic, a lot of parents have decided to homeschool their children because they believe they can give them a better education. And they've also told me to look up the curriculum. And I've had a quick look today. I've had a quick look in between the things that I am doing. And I'm noticing things in there. I'm noticing, like with the discussion I had with my son's school, when they phoned me up and started having a go about him and about his mannerisms in regards to wearing a face mask or taking the shot or anything like that. And I was told that if you don't wear a face mask, you must wear, or they didn't say must. You must. We ask, and I'm sure that was ask with your arm put behind your back, to wear a badge. So I said, do you ask people who are gay to wear a badge? Do you? And this is at 9 o'clock in the morning that the deputy head teacher phoned me up of the Grange School in Aylesbury, by the way, in case you want to know where it was. I don't really care. They can come and have a go and give me a phone call. We don't like you discussing us. I don't care. If you don't like discussing, come on the show and tell me why you don't like discussing it. Because I tell you what, when you've got a load of people who are supposed to be safeguarding, and the deputy head teacher of this school is supposed to be safeguarding, is going up to my son and telling him to wear a badge to distinguish him from other. I mean, it's distinguished anyway. He's not wearing a mask. So what's, if he's not wearing a mask, then he's not wearing a mask. But again, this is where the education system comes in. Are they being educated? Because it just seems to me like the kids are being programmed. Because my son, I think, was probably one of, if not actually probably the only one, actually stating to the teachers, no, I'm not doing it. And then they'd phone me up saying, your son. And I'll go, yeah, that's right. And then obviously discussing with this deputy head teacher, I said to him, do you understand what you're asking my son to do? Do you understand what you're doing? You are telling them to be, this is no different than Nazi Germany. And from which he replied with blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't think it's that bad. Really? Don't you? Why are you doing this? If you don't believe it's right in one way, why are you doing it? Because I've been told to. We've got to. Just because you've been told to do it doesn't mean it's right. So I told him to go and speak to the history teacher and try and clarify with the history teacher if he can't remember his history. Because come on, let's be fair. We're old. Well, I'm old anyway. That's the idea. But you forget. The history gets a bit distorted. Maybe a refresh is required. And of which he was like, blah. I keep saying blah, but not that you knew what the conversation was. But he just basically went on about, well, we asked all the students to do this. I could do not teach the children anymore to think for themselves. Now, there's a very funny thing when it comes to having any sort of inoculation in the school. If as a parent, if you don't notice, if as a parent you do not want your child to be inoculated, and you submit the forms, they still bring your children down and they still ask them, do they want to have that injection? They use a thing called Gillick law. Now, if you don't know about that law, I suggest you look up about it, because you might send your child to school that day and then come out with something you didn't want them to have. And it also goes the other way. Even if you put down that now, I am sure this is the case. If you put down, yes, my child will be inoculated, and then that child says, I am not going down, I am not being inoculated, they would probably drag them down by their hair, pin them down and make them have it, or make their life hell if they didn't. I want you to think about that for a second. I mean, I've dramatized it, but I'm sure they wouldn't drag them down by their hair and pin them down and jab them. But if the child is good enough to make the decision to have the inoculation, they have the right to not have the inoculation as well. Quite simple. Goes both ways. And I said to my son, if any child does not want to have that COVID jab, then let me know, because I will defend them, because they have the right. And I don't believe anybody should have that thing. And that's the truth. If you don't like it, well, bad luck. Put it in come on the show, tell me why. You might believe it, then fine, believe it. Keep your eyes closed. But how it's not been properly tested at all. So this takes you onto the school thing. Let's get back onto the school thing, because I digress again, like I usually do. So if you're at a school and you're being educated, are you being educated to actually what is around us and what the truth is, and to investigate and to understand? Once you understand what's going on, you can do science, you can do all the things that you're supposed to be taught to do. Like I say, science, use the data and make your assumptions. That proves it's correct. So if they don't do that, and they just keep on programming them, putting them in, saying, right, this is the way it is, no shift in the market, so to speak, then that's quite scary. And I find that scary because when my son questioned a scientific theory, or actually what was said in regards to mask wearing, he said, well, that's not correct. The teacher told him to shut up. And that's not the way to be. So I want you to think about when your child goes into school, what are they actually going into school for? Now, I'm sure in the first early years, the first school, primary school, um, they learn the basics of building up their life, of learning maths, learning English, learning to talk, learning the alphabet, and doing things like that. But as they get older and they start to go through the stages in their life, are they being taught or are they being programmed? Like, here's one question for you. Do you believe the world is round or do you believe it's flat? Now, the question is, I don't really care which way you go. I believe that, we have the idea of being able to make up our own minds. And I know there's going to be loads of you out there going, hey, look, there's a picture. But if you educate your child correctly and you educate yourself correctly, you'd say, well, actually, it's a picture. And you know what? It's been doctored. Is that really what the earth looks like? Is that really what I think it is? Have you questioned it? Or have you just taken it, as blatantly like, yeah, it's a picture. It's got to be true. So did you take that picture? Do you know the person who took that picture? No. Have you gone through that scientific research? So if the answer is no, then really, you've been caught. You've just blindly been programmed to think that the world is round. But also, could you be programmed that it's flat by them throwing other questions at you? For instance, somebody might say, well, what about the curvature? What about the satellites in space, the sun? So you must be able to answer those questions. You can put it in the comments if you want to answer those questions, please do. Be nice to see you, but I'd like to see you on the show because these are the questions. This is what I want to talk about. Time to talk. Now, in the school education system, I do believe they're being programmed. They're being made to believe this is the only way it can be. And it goes through viruses, for instance, what they're learning in science is. If you also look at the curriculum, you'll find, for instance, learning about DNA, the genome sequencing. Well, to be honest, if they'd really learned that, then my children should have been able to turn around to me and say, Dad, I think you're right in your assumptions because of the way mRNA works in the vaccine. Or, sorry, jab, whatever you want to call it. So, if you break things down properly and you look at them, then you start to make an assessment. You start to think, well, if you watch the TV, you're just blindly told this is the right way. This is the right way. You listen to the radio, get the jab. Not one question about it hasn't really been tested. And I spoke to people at COP26, high people in the medical field, very interesting. And they are well taught people. They are in the field of medicine. And yet they were literally, very stern with me that I should have it. And when I said to them, what about lupus? What about this? Well, we haven't got data on that. Well, I have. You have got data because I've looked at it. The question really is have you digested it and made your own assumptions? No, you've just gone ahead with the narrative. So ask yourself the question. Put in the comments. Let me know. Do you think school is actually what it's supposed to be anymore? Because I remember when I was at school many, many, many moons ago, I was told by my parents, for instance, just to get on with it. And I'm sure teachers used to do the same and say the same, even though I was more of the technical geek. And I'm sure most of you out there, especially if you know me, will laugh and say, oh, yeah, I can see that. It's one of those things where, I would be teaching the teachers. Same went for college, same went for uni. Actually, Aylesbury College, give a shout out to Aylesbury College, even though there's some problems there with maintaining staff numbers and stuff and educating the students from what my daughter says. But I learned quite a lot from the lecturers at the college, but not at the university. And I actually educated them. So the point is they were at a position in their lives where, and I got to admit, I am old because technology was new back then. I've had to admit to this. It's like, it was actually new. So I had somebody who was like 40 years old teaching me, who had all the time in the world to just sit there and play on the computer and create programs and, networks and everything. So, but they didn't. They were just taught, this is like from literally, I remember one lecturer just come to me, We used to do push card system. That's how they used to program computers. A card with holes in it. They put it in and it would read it. And then they put the next card in. That's how they programmed the computer. And then they've gone on to, they've become lecturers and stuff like that. So I want to just move across now, just to something else where we're going to look at the curriculum. Let's see if I can share this screen, because what I can show you here is how I go about looking at stuff. So here we go. So that's why I look on the left screen. If you see me looking here, it's because I'm looking at my other screen. So if we say UK curriculum, there we go. The national curriculum of the UK government. And it's actually quite interesting, actually. I don't know if you ever looked at this, but it tells you everything. I mean, to be fair, I've not really looked at it until recently, and I haven't had time to delve into it massively. But we've got our key stages. Do everybody know about key stages? What they're all going? There we go. Child's age 3 to 4 is early years, 4 to 5 as well. 5 to 6, you start to get into 5 to 7 is KS1. I mean, this is all new to me, to be fair, as in once my children start school, I start to learn about these KS things. And then you got the 2s, the 3s, up until they're 14, and then going into GCSE is KS4, which is the GCSE era, which is still going. Look, some children take GCSEs. Look, we're still not that old, people of the GCSE generation. Right. Well, no, they do take GCSEs, but they call it like 1 to 9 now when they get their grades. So I think 4 is a C, and 5 is a higher C or C plus. So there we go. But yeah, so they still take GCSEs. It's just the way that they number it. It's not A, B, C, D, E, F, blah, blah, blah. It's now 1 to 9, 1 being like a fail and 9 being an A, but an A plus, A star, whatever they call it. So there's your key stages, just in case you forgot. There you go, all up. So have a look where your kid is on that stage, and that will tell you everything you need to know on what to look at. So in the early stages, the national curriculum for key stages 1 to 4, let's click in there. It's how I do a lot of my research. It's how I look at a lot of stuff. And people say, oh, look at this, look at that. It does take time. I mean, I'll tell you what, we're going to look up. Is that a download? I think that one's a download, isn't it? That's a PDF. Right. So if we scroll through here, we start to see the basis of what they're learning. And like I said about the age groups. So as you can see, from key stage 1 to 4, they learn English, sciences, foundation subjects, art and design. So they stop it in key stage 4. I'm sure that's because it's a subject that they can choose. Citizenship, very interesting. Didn't know they did that. Okay. And they also got computing, design, technology, languages, geography, history, music. Obviously, it's an option, really. So that would go there. And then you've got physical education. They have to have some form of physical education because, come on, kids have to. What's also interesting is all schools are required to teach religious education in all the key stages, which, again, religion is a good thing to be taught because kids, even if they don't know about religion, it's good that they understand how other religions are and respect that. Okay, because certain people abide by them. So let's be thoughtful. There's nothing wrong with that. So there's your age groups. They year groups, key stage 1s, 2, 3, and 4, all the way across, religious education all the way through. And I'm sure, obviously, I think it's humanities or something. They do it in religion as well, which is a subject choice in the GCSEs. And then we get sex and relationship education. So from the ages of 11 onwards, even though something else actually stated from the ages of 7, they are teaching sex and relationship education. And this also, from what I've been told, I still haven't read this all up yet, excuse me if I cough, is they start talking about all this binary stuff and about actual key moments in sexual life. So tell me what you think about that. Do you think children younger than 11 should be taught about sex education? Again, I'm sure there's people out there who agree with it and some people who don't agree with it. I've got a problem with it because it's one of those things. I think, do kids really need to be activated till, what sex is. Again, teaching kids about being inappropriately touched, as needs to be taught at a young age, I suppose, so that the children understand that if they are touched by somebody, that it's wrong, especially under any age, actually, if it's inappropriate, but especially for children. So what you got there is, but do they need to know about sex? Do they know about the ins and outs of it? So it's a really good one to debate that, because I know people who are, yes, they should, and ones who say no. All right, so there we go. So again, they teach about inclusion. This is all part of the framework, and this is, I believe, I hope it's in this document, because I read up about it, which is all about. Actually, let's quickly go back here, see if I can find the word. Maintain schools. This must be done by maintain schools, which basically means if the government funds the school, they must follow this curriculum. There's extra things they can add in, but they must. So if you have read this document, please put in the comments that you have, and let me know your thoughts about it as well, about how decisions, what you think are wrong decisions and what are right ones. Or come on, or preferably come on the show and then educate me a bit about it, because I don't have all the information that I kind of need to know. I need to do a deep dive in understanding the whole thing as a whole, but I've not had the time to really dig deep. And I wanted to do a show today, even if it wasn't, the information wasn't collated as much as I normally would do. But what I've had a quick look at, if we go back to here, was what pointed out to me today, especially, was maintain schools. So if a school is an academy, that's not maintained, but they still have to follow certain provisions, just like private schools. But then again, I didn't see nothing about private schools in there, unless they're classed as an academy, which they're not. So I still needed to get to that. That's the bit I was trying to find. Are they prone to the curriculum, or can they just choose as and when? Because there was an interesting thing when my child did his 11 plus, whatever it is, that I spoke to the head teachers, and he went to a really good school. And they said to me, "Oh, well, that's something we were," I said, "Well, how is he supposed to know the answer to this? Because he has no idea. I've gone through it with him, and frankly, I find it quite confusing too. But can you explain to me?" And they went, "That's because he hasn't been taught it yet." So I was like, "How can you? You wouldn't give a driving test to somebody and not teach them all the maneuvers, because they wouldn't be able to pass. Because, well, actually, they could pass. So let's just say there was 4 maneuvers and they only taught them 3. Well, if they get given that maneuver, and I suppose if you do a maneuver especially bad, you can totally fail the test. So would you think that's fair? Because I don't. How can you test somebody if they haven't had the education in it? Because they don't know how to do it. If you've never seen it before, then again, not being able to is probably a bad word to use, because the chances are they won't, because they've not been educated, but some might just make a logical guess and get it right. So to be fair, but how can that be fair? So again, is it just programming? They don't want X amount they only want, as I would probably say, kids who've been privately educated while still part of the state system to go through, because people have invested in their education. But you can invest in your children's education even though you haven't got the money to pay for a private tutor. But again, is that what the grammar schools are right? Now, I agree with grammar schools. Let me know that in the comments too. Do you agree with a grammar school? Because I do. I think if a kid is at a certain academic level, then group them together. Because, if a child is a great footballer, you wouldn't want them to carry on going into normal school setting. If, for instance, let's just say, I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm just going to say Manchester United. If they spotted your child and said they have the qualities of Pele and we want them to come to our academy, would you say no? Oh no, I want them to stay part of there. They still get educated, but you know that the more education will be on the football, but they'll still be educated. They'll still have lessons and everything, but they wouldn't be at a school as in such. The school is actually about football. So I think if a child shows unique characteristics for something, then by all means, move them to something that will, they obviously, if they got the skills, they probably enjoy it and they probably practice it night, day, and, they'll love going to a place dedicated to that sort of thing that they're good at. And that goes for academics. If a kid is highly, again, this is the interesting one with grammar schools. People pay for their children for the 11 plus to be, because I live in Buckinghamshire, they have the grammar schools here. People pay for their children to be privately educated so that they can go to the grammar schools. And you think, well, is that fair? Is that fair? I mean, that people are using money, they're not using the school system the way it's supposed to be used. Some of you might be saying, yeah, well, it's not fair, but I'm willing to do that. And, again, I wasn't that sort of educated in that sort of, in my brain wise of thinking maybe that's something I should have done to allow my children to go to an academic sort of setting. They didn't pass their 11 plus, and so that they went to just ordinary secondary school. So do we not set up a society where if you have money, you haves, and then you have the have-nots? And even if you did haves, you have the have-nots. I don't think there's a parent out there who doesn't want their child to do brilliantly. So this goes back to, if they have not been taught it, how can they have a chance? They're already losing 20 marks, for instance. Then that's not fair. You're not setting the boundaries right. But if you have X amount of money, you can, for instance, send them off to be privately educated in their spare time, which kids have lots of. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, because again, we can come back to it by all means at some point, and we can discuss it if you're catching this on the replay. And if you're watching this now, please, put in the comments or come on the show. The link's there. Again, if you come on the show, no swearing. So we've got reading and writing, vocabulary, programs of study, and attainment targets, and I go into it all there. It's all there. So, it's not exactly what I was looking for. These are not the drones you're looking for. Here we go. Let's go back here. I hate it when I do my I should, like I said, I should be a little bit more organized sometimes. Here we go. 3 and 4 separate versions containing. Here we go. We'll leap forward, or actually, maybe we won't. Primary key stages 1 and 2. Let's jump on that first. Actually, I believe it's in here. So, this goes back to September 2013. I thought there was an earlier, a late one in that. But here you go. Here's the breakdown of the school education system. Starting off for key stage 1, you've got obviously English, mathematics, sciences, what they're learning, art and design, computer and design, geography, history, language, music, and physical education. And again, these documents are great. You can go through them, maybe learn a few new things like I did. But I found these tables quite interesting. Here you go. English, maths, and science. Yep, ticked in all the boxes. This is where they're at. Art and design, again, only taken to the age of 14 when they get to make their selection of their options. But citizenship and computer are carried on. But nowhere in there does it really cover, for instance, everything that you would expect. But again, scroll down a bit, you get like the religious education, which again is taught for all the age groups, but sex and relationship education is really held up to 11 and 14. So you think, all right, okay, well, my children won't learn about sex education until they hit the ages of 11. So we'll go through numeracy, mathematics, reading, writing, vocabulary. Here we go, programs of study and attain targets. What's this one here? English. Yeah, it's covering it all, which apparently is what they do in schools. You got your spoken language. I'm just trying to get through to it a bit. That's just year 1. Again, look at how much is taught actually in the school for year 1. It's quite a lot, isn't there? There's, and it's quite interesting when you look through this document. It's basically teaching you as well. So maybe you're not good in your English and maths, maybe have a look at these documents as well. They may look boring. I'll put a link for them actually. Oh, press the wrong button. So you can have a copy. There you go. I'll put them in the comments. Even though I'll do it this way. I'll say Key, I think it's a key stage, isn't it? KST, whatever. One. Give me one sec. Again, I love it when I try and do things off the cuff and I forget even my own name. There we go. Just put that in there for you. I think that's key stage 1 and 2, actually. I just put in the comments. And then we got key stage 3 and 4. Yeah. There we are. There we go. I'll actually word it. You can hear me typing away there. Actually put it key stage 1 and 2 in the comments. Key stage. You might want to look at this and so actually, I know what my children are studying. I actually understand it now because I actually have the purposes to learn. Let me just grab a bit of my tea. Tell me if you're drinking tea or coffee or maybe something stronger. Or weaker with no caffeine, like water, orange juice. Or not orange juice. Orange, was it orange squash? Sorry, or orange juice. Totally two different things. But yeah, just want to go back to this 1 and 2, key stage 1 and 2. What have we got here? Key 1 and 2, vocabulary, handwriting, writing. Do you know what? I think I still need to go back to school for my handwriting, people. Yeah, my writing's horrendous. But I type a lot. I can type quite quick. So that's my advantage. Just going through, there's writing, vocabulary. Are we on the bit that I'm looking for? Oh, here we go. By the beginning of year 5, pupils should be able to read aloud a wider range of poetry and books written at an age-appropriate interest level with accuracy and a reasonable speaking pace. Did I pass their teachers? Oh, or if you're a teacher, let us know. I'd like to have you on a show and you can talk about what you think about the educational system. Maybe you have to kind of blur out your face so that you can't be seen. Or stand to be counted. That's what we like to see. Again, we're on reading and writing still. We're on page 42. Kind of want to go down a bit. This is how much investigation you have to do as a person like me. So sometimes you just think, I ain't got the time, man. I ain't got the time. But look, talk about the sounds of the letters and how you put them all together. How good's that if you forget? Key stage 1. There you go. The documents are there. Click on them. All provided by the wonderful government. Our government. Not the government. Our government. The people selected by us to represent us. Don't know if you got that sort of thing. What I was kind of saying there. So again, spelling. Who remembers spelling at school? Woof. Remember a book I used to write in. Word list. Wow. This wasn't the document I was looking at the other day. Right. Okay. Never mind. I was actually looking. Yeah. There we go. Punctuations. It's all in here. It really is. Actually, it's quite interesting. Right. Non-statutory. Here we go. These are things they don't have. This is like if they want to. I think they can teach them this, which I reckon happens in private school. They teach them all this, which obviously is really good. But don't you think our children should learn that too? But I'm sure schools do as much as they possibly can. And what would be interesting if you're in a private school, or if you're a teacher in a private school, what is the numbers in those schools? How well are they funded by the private sector of people paying to put their kids into school? Because we all know that the level of education is better, apparently. So here we go. Even though Ashmead School in Aylesbury beat all the private schools a good few years ago now, about 5 years ago, in all the tables, I think only 2 schools did. Ashmead done amazing. Right. Year 3 program of study. Wow. Do you know what? This is all learning key stages 1 and 2. I think I just went straight to 3 and 4. Forgot to look at key stage 1 and 2. But there was something I did glance at that I did look at. And that's what I want to show you. Not mathematics. Program of study. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I didn't even know this even existed. Well, I knew it existed, but I didn't think it was to this level. It's quite a good little roadmap to learning, isn't it? If you think about it. Can't say that enough. Now, see, I want to point this out. This is how old school, this is how I sort of taught my children to do mathematics. There was a few issues with them at school at their previous one in another county. So I kind of helped them on the way and taught them this sort of way, which leapfrogged them, but they still had to learn the new style. It was quite interesting. They were like, "It's not done that way." I'm like, "Well, you're going to learn it that way, so at least you can do it," which they were able to do. So they kind of caught up that sort of it. So science, here we go. Purpose of study: a high quality science education provides the foundation of understanding the world through the specific disciplines of biology, chemistry, and physics. Science has changed, and now sciences have changed our lives over the last 2 years, people, haven't they? Science has changed our lives, and it's vital to the world's future prosperity. And all people should be taught essential aspects of the knowledge, methods, processes, and uses of science. So this goes back to what I said at the start. Now again, we use science, but when I was at school, that was for everything. You use it, you take it apart, you understand it, and the proof is in the pudding, which doesn't seem to be the case anymore. They're kind of told, yeah, this is how we make our assumptions. This is how we do our papers. And then we just say, that's the narrative. It must be said like this. If it's not, we will ridicule you. And I did have this at uni. I did have it quite. If I submit this, they will give it a fail. Even though it was correct, it ran right, it was more efficient in its coding. I was told it was because they didn't understand it. They didn't understand the new code I'd put in. Nothing. It was like, you've been taught to do it this way, now do it this way. Well, then how can that help? They're just programming you. I know I was doing programming, but programming you to be a certain way. There was no room for movement. And I see this a lot, and I hear it a lot, especially with this discussion in the school in the last couple of years. Do you understand what you're saying? You're not, my child being told to shut up, sit down, be quiet. That's not right. They're in a science class of all things. The teacher should take that and say, right, they've made a great assumption, so let's test the theory. What a great way. And then what they would have understood is, were they correct in what they were saying? Yes, they were. But that highlighted there is what is the basis of all your fundamental skills in life, to be honest. Forget about the biology, the chemistry, and the physics. But you research, you understand, you make your assumptions, and hopefully the goal is correct. Now, that was just the science. Now, they use biology. Biology is a very interesting area in the sciences for the early years. Again, key stage 1 and 2. If I say early years, that's before key stage 1. So here we go. Where is it? That's just about habitats, plants, animals, including humans. What do they say about including humans here? There we go. Pupils should be taught. Notice that animals, including humans, have offspring which grow into adults. Good point. This is an interesting statement. Including humans. They find out about describe the best basic needs of animals, including humans, for survival, water, food, and air. Which, okay, yeah, we do need that, don't we? I mean, hygiene's a good one as well to learn for some people, including myself. Right. Here we go. An interesting statement said here. People should be introduced to the basic needs for animals for survival, as well as the importance of exercise and nutrition for humans. They should also be introduced to the process of reproduction and growth in animals. The focus at this stage should be on the questions that help pupils to recognize growth. They should not be expected to understand how reproduction occurs. Right. Use of everyday materials, blah, blah, blah. Lower key stage 2, years 3 and 4. Down here, let's have a look at the programmer. So during 3 and 4, they should be taught the use of practical scientific methods, processes, and skills for the teaching of program of study. So what we've got, asking relevant questions and using different types of scientific inquiries to answer them. Set up a simple practice practical inquiries, comparative and fair tests. Not that I saw that happening much, as in later years. I am trying to quickly scan to see where the bit I wanted to bring up. Okay, here we go. Pupils in 3 and 4. We kind of jumped from 1 and 2. It's quite interesting. What was it? 3 and 4. If we just go back here. Just go back. Let's have a look. So on this one. Here we go. So keys. Is it 3 and 4? Year 3. Sorry. So it wasn't 3 and 4. It's year 3, which is what 1, 2, and 3 is 5 to 7. Right. So we're still on 5 to 7 here. We've got about nutrition, about their own food, including humans. Identify that humans and some animals have skeletons and muscles. Yep. Good thing to learn. We like that. What was this? Rocks. Light. Year 4 program of study. That's my cat wanting to go out. Sorry, people. Here we go. I need to give me 1 second. You can tell I'm live streaming from home today. The life cycle of a cat, people. There we go. Right. Animals, including humans. Here we go. Pupils should be taught to describe the simple function of the basic parts of the digestive system in humans. Very interesting. Identify the different types of teeth in humans and their simple functions, and construct and interpret a variety of food chains, identifying producers, predators, and prey. All good. Let's have a look what it says here. People should be introduced to the main body parts associated with the digestive system, for example, mouth, tongue, teeth, and all the other things. All right, let's just scroll down again. Electricity. Here we go. Upper key stage 2, years 5 and 6. So if we go back to here, year group 1, 2. So here we are, 5 and 6. We're in key stage 2. So again, we're not even on to key stage 3 yet. I think this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Working scientifically, habitats. Here we go. Describe the changes as human develop to old age. So again, if you're a teacher at this age group, great to have you on and you can explain what that all means. People should draw a timeline to indicate stages in the growth and development of humans. They should learn about the changes experienced in puberty. Okay, so that's upper stages. So we're still in year groups 3 to 6. Okay, again, it's about puberty. So teaching them about their own bodies, and obviously that is their own. It shouldn't be touched. Obviously, is of paramount there. I would believe. Again, I would believe, but I believe this is where they start talking about binary and stuff like that. It's quite interesting. So here's the question. If we start at that age, and again, I might be wrong, please put it in the comments if I am. If we start teaching the binary aspect of these things, about how you can change your sex and everything like that, people or whatever, are they starting at that age to start maneuvering the mindset to this is okay, this is fine, we need to understand, which you might think, well, that's cool. But when you start looking at all the sciences and the way that they think about things, are they telling us, for instance, I'm sure in a lot of this document that you read, that they're taught how to experiment, how to, investigate, for instance, how something would feed or something, produces or does whatever. how sun helps a flower and everything. And they're quite good experiments. But when do they start moving from the bit of this is the only way that it should be done? This is the way you think. Because nowhere in all that we've just looked through, and I want you to comment about this. I want you to put in the comments again. Catch up with another show, another episode, and come back to this. I have no problems for anything I do. I'd love to come back. I talk as I jitter around and everything. So nowhere in there did I quickly see about teaching them how to farm, how to sow the seed, to make it grow, to do the things that will actually allow them to survive. So my daughter's just walked in. She's looking at me in a very cagey way, very interestingly, as she strokes our cat. Hi, Abby.
Hello.
So what we've got there is, if they're not teaching the fundamentals here, if you're not teaching your fundamentals, then surely that's a little bit wrong. If we're teaching about the different type of humans out there, I say it in that respect. You got your male and your male, female, and binary. I am not into this binary stuff. No way. You're either male or female. But let me know in the comments. But nowhere have I seen anywhere looking through there do they teach you how to harvest, how to survive in the open world there. Which goes to a conversation I had the other day with someone. I was like, actually, they've got a fair point about this. If we're not teaching our young how to survive, early doors, I come back with, well, later on in life, they can make decisions going to farming. But actually, shouldn't they really be taught at an early age how to plant food, how to make it grow, and actually physically do it in the school? And I think some schools actually do, to be fair. But I think a vast majority don't. Because I think it'd be pretty cool that they would grow veg in the school. The kids sow the seed, they maintain it, they look after it, they water it, they do what they do. And then obviously, I mean, I was going to say cook, but I don't think they have cooks in schools anymore. I think it's all just delivered from outside, which is another shame. That the disappearance of the school lady. A lot of schools now don't have a canteen. What's that all about? You've got people cooking fresh food, but that's not seeming to be the case. But imagine it anyway. They could take this crops out and actually eat them themselves, where they'd probably get some great understanding and better taste as well. It's another good thing. Probably be better for them, and they'll have they'll taste a lot better. And the kids might change their mind about fruit and veg. Interesting one. So we're cramming them with a lot of stuff. But if you don't have the right, I mean, to be honest, I can't. My dad used to plant stuff in our garden, so I kind of learned from there. But I ain't no green finger, and many people who know me, I'm a green finger when it comes to tech. I get my fingers messy and all that lot. When it comes to gardening, I just cut the grass, and that's as far as it really goes. But if push comes to shove, I could grow. I would know that I have the basics in me to know that I could yield a crop. Whether it's any good or anything, I don't know. But I have the basis that I would know about irrigation. I know about how to plant and how to look after. But I don't see it really being that taught. But I might be wrong. Let me know. I know my son's school did do something like that. They were very good. Actually, quite amazing. Quite flabbergasted how well they were or are. Great head teachers. But are your kids being taught, or are they being programmed? Because if they're not learning the basics on life and how to survive, again, I can't say this is wrong by the person who said it to me. They are totally and utterly right. I sat there and I thought about it. Just sat in my brain, started turning. Actually, got a good point. Why do I have to wait until I make it a speciality? It's as the basics to survive, just like financial instruments. You're not really taught how finances work. I mean, you might be taught what money is, That's great. This is a 10p. This is a pound. This is a £10 note. But actually, how much value does it have? What does inflation mean? I speak to my kids about certain things, and to be fair to my kids, they do get exposed to a lot of information. And they do get kind of bored with me, and probably you do out there. But the question is that I do that so that they know of the word. They know kind of what it means. They don't have to have a full-on knowledge of it. But when it becomes apparent that they need to know about it, like I taught them at a very young age what the tax man is. So I gave them 5 packets of crisps. They were like, wow, 5 packets of crisps. And then I took one away. They went, whoa, what are you doing? I said, I'm the tax man. That's what I take. I take my 20%. Okay, we know the taxes are high. I didn't even go into... See, we pay taxes. When we say taxes are high, we pay tax on the amount of money we earn. And we then pay tax on the amount of products that we purchase, whether it's petrol. And I say, that's all a product. So actually, when we say how much we taxed, we're taxed quite a bit. In America, it's pretty self-evident. You buy a product, you buy it for $1, and then you go to the till and you purchase it. And then you've only got $1 on you, by the way. And this happened to me as a kid. I was 14 years old. I was in America with my parents, my aunts and my uncles who lived out there. And I said, I was like, whoa. And, the guy was like, that's like, what, $1.20 for it. Let's just say $1.20. And I was like, no, it says $1. Where are you getting extra 20 cents from? That makes no sense. And then my uncle quickly rushed in and said, sorry, he's from the UK. And then he explained to me, he gave the guy the 20 cents, apologized, and we walked out. And then he said to me, in this country, the tax is added on. So you kind of know how much you're paying in tax for a product. In this country, we don't really understand. Believe it or not, we buy some stuff that's not taxed and some that is taxed. So when you go to the till and you pay for it, you have no idea whether that's a taxed item or a non-taxed item. So for instance, in your aisles, if you're cookery, some of your ingredients are actually not taxed. You can buy them. The tax man doesn't touch them with anything. Doesn't care. But certain other items you purchase, they're taxed because they're kind of like classed as a luxury. So our kids taught that? No, they're not. There you go. That's quite an interesting thing, isn't it? But my kids learn at a very young age what the tax man is. I need to ask them actually, were they actually taught that at school? I don't believe they ever was. I also taught them about inflation. That's something I really push on them quite hard. I learned about inflation at a very older age, I would say. And it really only hit me in my adult life when a managing director of a company, a big, huge worldwide company, said to me, and I was like, wow, I believe it's this. And he said, let me re-educate you to that. And then he explained it. And I was like, whoa, actually, right. I need to really keep an eye on that. And ever since that moment on, I've been very switched on about it. So what are we teaching our kids if we're not teaching them how to survive in life and understand the basis around us, all the things that are in our everyday life, like credit? How does credit work? Credit cards. I know they learn about probably a bad thing, but actually what that actually physically means. If you earn £100 and you have a credit card and you've got money, obviously you spent a certain limit on that credit card, then for every £100 you pay back, £40 of that is actually in interest. So actually you're throwing away £40 in every 100. So obviously, and also with inflation, your money, blah, 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 it all gets impacted. So what are they learning? And again, let's go back to is the world round or is it flat? I'd love to know if any kids out there said to their science teacher, can you please explain to me, is the world actually flat? Can you prove that it's not? I'd love to know what the science teacher says to that, because again, there's some very good fundamental questions on that. So it'll be interesting to see. And if you're a science teacher, let me know as well. Have you been asked that question? I'd love to know that actually, if you've been asked that. But going back to the sex education side of things here, they've already started to learn, or they're starting to pick up on things. It says here from the ages of 11, but we've already just read it's in key stage 2. And I've had a few parents reach out to me and said that they're actually being taught about things they didn't expect them to be taught about. Okay. In the sciences, they've been taught to investigate and do everything, but none of them brought up about, actually, was it a good idea to wear a mask? Was it safe for their health? The kids didn't query it, which brings me to the question, are they being taught or are they being programmed? And I hate to say, I'm stressing on more the programmed. When the teachers phone me, deputy head teachers, I had to re-educate them, to the point that my son had a thing written in the register that clearly stated, do not approach my son in regards to it. Because I was not happy that somebody in authority was questioning a child to the effect of making them, if they didn't have, I don't know, a badge on or whatever, they would harass them, and they would, it's detriment to their health. Again, they might have health reasons for not wearing one. Who are they to state that? But to wear a symbol as well was totally and utterly wrong. And coming from somebody who's head of safeguarding, I was disgusted. So our education system is pulling people into a position where they think, or we think, that they're teaching them the right ways. You might have something different on this. Please come on the show. Let me know, because I'm going to wind it up now. The link's been out there. I've been chatting for about an hour, and I feel I'm digging a big hole, and I'm going to have a load of people communicate with me on the next show. But it's interesting. I will delve into this more, or maybe if you people out there don't mind, you delve into it, do some investigation, understand, read it all, and then educate me on the next show. Come on the show, say, actually, this is what they are actually doing in these lessons. But do you think kids should learn at a young age certain things and not others? Do you think they're too young to learn? Are we pushing the kids so that, you see, as we land the plane, some people say, if you educate people from a young age, I think Jesuit, give me a kid to the 12 and I will show you the man, or maybe 6. I think it was 6. If you start educating them, and I use that in a very old man way of doing brackets or speech marks. If you start early and then you keep on refreshing that through the years, that this is the right way we should be doing things. You start to be regimented. You start to be, if you go against this, you must be an idiot. And I've been told that, by the way, over some of the ideas I have against the jib jab, and against mask wearing, and against, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the way the world is pursuing its goals. And it's not the world, it's certain organizations or whatever. We elect people in to represent us, and they should be pushing forward of making sure our children are taught correctly, with independence, with the ability of thought, and also practice and learn and make mistakes. Yeah, it's all part of life, making mistakes. So if we're not doing that, what is their agenda? Why are they pushing it? Well, it's to make something what they want come true. So are the people we've elected in been elected and then have had money, or offer a position later on in life or whatever, to push forward a standard that they want to go forward with? I don't know. You let me know. It's one of these shows. This is what it's time to talk. So if you're catching this on the replay, please come watch the next one. Click like, click subscribe, click alert as well. And don't forget, if you're unable to get it on YouTube, you can find us on fbrstreamslive.com. But it's one of those areas, and I will look into this more and come back to this like a part 2, I think we'll have to do, because I'm sure as I go through the years, I will start to see the way things are moving, the way that they're starting to deliver the education system for a narrative they want to push forward for the future. Because again, if you make young minds think a certain way, by the time they come to adults, it becomes normality. And I do believe we've been kept busy, entertained in one respect, if you want to call it that. So us adults don't have time to teach our children. We just believe and we trust the system. Over the last 2 years, I have never distrusted a system so much in my life than now. Because I see things happening now that I can't be quiet about. Let me know. Do you feel the same? Or maybe you trust it even more. Come on the show and let me know. Again, click like, click subscribe, get alerted. Hopefully it hasn't been booted off the show or off the channel, I should say, off the platform. Let us know. Reach out, put some message in the comments. I'll answer them as well, if you put them in there. Only if it's nice things. If you're just being an idiot and just writing some rubbish in there, then no, being rude. But yeah, put some stuff, if you've got a question, into the comments, and I'll answer it. And also keep an eye out for the next show. Thanks for watching. Don't forget FBL Broadcast and has loads of other things. Again, like Stansted Raceway, we have ENG Netball. Live streaming on that is on the netball is on the FBLstreamslive.com platform, just like this show is. You can also pick up Stansted Raceway, but we usually live stream from the YouTube channel. It all depends with prices increasing and things happening. Who knows what will happen in the next few months? You never know. It might cost £1 million to just turn the TV on, or the computer on, I should say, to do a live stream. So who knows? But I haven't worked out what the subject is next time on Time to Talk. But rest assured, there will be another one, and I hope to see you there. Good night.